Hello everyone and welcome, I am DisturbingPuppet. Today we're going to take another look at Adeptus Titanicus Dominus, which is an early access game. We've got this picked up. I have done a quick look at this before back in January. It's now April, so there have been a couple updates we're going to take a quick look at. So first I am going to go through the tutorial, so if you've seen my previous video or other videos showing the tutorial, just kind of give people an idea of what the game is like. Then I'm going to do a quick skirmish, so we'll take a look at some of the new stuff. So these are the fairly bare-bones options that we have. As you can kind of see, there isn't anything to really adjust the brightness, and that is something I feel like it's still kind of a dark game. This is early access, so a lot of things are probably going to change. A lot of this stuff is probably going to get improved. I'm sure we'll have more bars and scales and things we can adjust. Probably graphics will change. Even mechanics and things are probably going to change. So that's pretty much it for the bare-bones options. Let's take a look at the tutorial. We'll go through the Battlefield basics just to give you an idea of kind of what the game is and how it works. I have had a few issues with streaming this in the past, so hopefully everything will work fine. I am going to check a few times just to make sure it looks like it's working. Okay, so here's a fairly dark and ugly future battlefield for Warhammer 40k. Let me quickly look. Okay, that looks like it's working. That looks okay. Alright, hopefully everything's fine. If there's anything strange going on, please let me know in the comments. Alright, so what we have here is your basic interface. We've got me in a Warlord Titan. We have an enemy up here. Welcome to the Battlefield Tutorial Legate. This tutorial will introduce the key elements of the Battlefield user interface and also touch on several important gameplay concepts. Early access note, please note that Adeptus Titanicus Dominus is an early access. Alpha, for those familiar with development terminology, say it's not even beta. Meaning it is not yet feature complete, and we'll be adding new features throughout our early access journey. We invite you to add your voice in Steam forums if you have constructive feedback to share or particular features you'd like to see in the game. So there have been some things added, and we will get to that. Adeptus Titanicus Dominus is a turn-based strategy game featuring interleaving activations. It is a translation of the 4th edition Epic Tabletop rules and is set in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Each turn is divided into two phases, the order phase and the end phase. In the orders phase, each player activates one unit by giving it an order, which is executed and the results are shown. Then the opportunity to activate a unit is handed over to his or her opponent. Retain the activation once. Note that you can choose to retain the activation once before you must hand the activation over to your opponent. If you have enough units, you can retain units several times in a row, however. Doing so can leave you exposed as your opponent may outmaneuver you. If you have not run out of activations, but he or she has not, use the ability to retain wisely. The turn proceeds, passing activation back and forth like this until all of you and your opponent's units have been activated, at which point the end phase occurs. In the end phase, you and your enemy's titans may regenerate lost void shields, put out fires, and in some cases may even repair physical damage. The end phase is managed automatically by the game, taking only a few seconds. Camera control is WASD. Q and E for rotating, or you can hold middle mouse to control it that way. Now let's review the screen's major elements. Top left corner is the current turn and phase. Top center, you and your opponent's current victory points are shown. In game modes, the player with the highest score in turn 3 end phase will win the game. Sort of depends on the scenario though, mission. Increase your score by securing objectives and achieving other victory conditions. The game does not check if victory has been achieved until the end phase, which gives the player the opportunity to react and avert disaster within a turn. Top right, help text is shown. Many screen elements have help text associated with them that will appear upon mouse over. This is particularly useful when you're reviewing unit data, as the help text details what each stat means. Down the right side of the screen, the victory conditions available in the current battle are shown. In your games, you can mouse over each of these for reminders of what they mean to appear in the help text area we highlighted a moment ago. I'm not sure if it'll work now. Yeah, central objective. Claim a central objective by positioning a unit within firefight range and ring of it for 1 victory point each. Claim your opponent's forward operating base by positioning a unit within firefight range and ring of it for 2 victory points. Destroy your unit's most expensive unit for 2 victory points, or destroy all enemy units for immediate victory. Got our little mini-map here. I don't know why the mini-map is always at this weird angle. There might be a reason for it, but I'm not sure. For this tutorial, we've given you a powerful warlord packing twin volcano cannons and supported by twin apocalypse rocket launchers. You can see an enemy warhound approaching an objective directly ahead of your warlord. And Adeptus Titanicus Dominus, unit and target selection is achieved by left-clicking with your mouse, while movement destinations are chosen by right-clicking. Let's give your warlord its orders. Dismiss this dialogue and left-click on your warlord to select it. Well done. Let's review the available orders. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see 4 order buttons are available. Down here, Sustained Fire, Advance, which is the default, Double, and March. A Titan that is issued Sustained Fire order and has a target selected does not move during its action but shoots more effectively. The Advance order enables your unit to move and shoot normally. Double enables your unit to move at twice its normal speed, but it shoots less effectively. On a March order, your unit moves 3 times its normal speed, but it cannot shoot at all. Sustained Fire order has a special feature. If no target is selected upon execution, Sustained reverts to Overwatch mode. This causes your Titan to forgo shooting in its own order execution to instead shoot during your opponent's action, if the enemy should move within range. Okay, next we'll move our Titan up the battlefield on the double, sacrificing some accuracy for greater speed. This will enable us to get far enough to capture the nearby objective. To move your Titan into capture range, right-click to place a holographic representation of your Titan at the destination point, ensuring the amber fight ring covers the objective. Dismiss the dialogue, click the double order, and then right-click close on the objective directly ahead, and you'll see the hologram with amber firefight ring. I think it'll also let us look at our unit data. So here's just kind of basic overview: speed, damage capacity, shields, armor essentially, close combat ability, firefight. We've got our various different weapons, so the range for the volcano cannons, rate of fire. So essentially this just fires once, not if it's once per turn or once per certain time frame, because I think when it shows you shooting the volcano cannons, it fires a couple times during the rounds. Anti-personnel, how effective it is against soft targets. Anti-tank, how effective it is against armored targets like tanks and war engines. I always kind of think this looks like a Titan, but I think it's supposed to be a Space Marine. So really you should be looking at this if you're trying to destroy other Titans. And we've got the Apocalypse Launchers. These are the upper mounted weapons, so shorter range. Barrage weapons. They don't actually explain the barrage weapons, I don't think, but they kind of hit an area. So sometimes if targets are close to each other, you'll sometimes hit both of them, which is something I noticed the last skirmish that I played. And anti-personnel effectiveness, anti-tank effectiveness, not so great. Alright, so it wants me to double time it. So we can kind of see the ring. We'll kind of move the camera around just to kind of show. We can also kind of zoom in if we want. Let's zoom in behind our warlord. Pan around a little bit. Take a look. There's our beautiful warlord Titan. Let me just quickly check again to make sure everything seems to be working. Okay, that looks good. I just want to make sure as I pan the camera around that it's actually showing the camera panning around and everything's fine. So here's our objective ahead it wants us to move to, so let's kind of move the camera around a little bit better. I do like that there's little firefights and stuff going on. It'd be nice if there's some sound effects or something for it, but it might get kind of overwhelming. Alright, let's park right on top of the objective. Good, you can now see the projected path to the chosen destination, as well as a capture ring, indicated by the amber firefight ring. In order to deliver the Ember's Wrath upon the enemy, we must now select a target that is within range. To dismiss this dialogue, left-click on the enemy Warhound directly ahead of your Warlord. Let's zoom back a little bit and kind of see the path a little bit better. So now if we click on him, we've got all kinds of stuff popped up. On both your unit and its hologram, you can now see range, line of sight lines drawn from each of your Titan's weapons to the enemy. These lines are green, or blue, when it has line of sight and is within range. If line of sight is interrupted before reaching the target, the line turns red from that point. If the target's out of range, the line is amber to maximum range and then turns red to the target. The range is also shown numerically. If the weapon's range number is green, or blue, it's shot as well within range. If amber, you're so close to maximum range there's some risk of not being able to shoot. If red, you're out of range. These targeting tools allow you to see at a glance which weapons have a shot from the starting position and which would have a shot from the finishing position. The time on target between these 2 points is not visualized. You must make a judgment call as to how much time you think will be spent shooting on the target. So yeah, you'll start shooting when you start position, you'll move and fire as you go, and keep firing until you get to your end position, essentially. When both choosing your target and positioning your own Titans, the critical game concept is that of time on target. The more time you spend in range and in line of sight, the more you'll shoot at your target during the 10 seconds of order execution. If line of sight obstructing elements are in the way, blocking your shot at either move, start, or end positions, you need to make a judgment call. Look at the line of travel from start to finish for each weapon and the intervening terrain between your unit and its target. As a general rule, if lines are obstructed at either end, you will shoot less than is optimal. It's even possible to not shoot at all. This has been changed. They haven't really updated this. We'll kind of get into that as we go. Now let's see how your double order plays out. Execute the order, you click commit. The result of your order will play out over 10 seconds. During that time, if you have set a target and the target's within both range and line of sight of one or more weapons, those weapons will fire. Dismiss this dialog and then click commit order. Oh, dismiss the dialog first. So I have action cam on, which you can turn off. So I've just got some Vulcan mega cannons lighting me up. So you can kind of see the health bar is in red there. I think it's going to explain here in a minute. And shields are gone for me. His shields are gone. He looks like he's on fire. Good work, Leggett. Now let's discuss the results of your attack. Each shot you fire damages an enemy. You'll see its void shield stripped away before hits on armor occur. Any penetrating hits will reduce your Titan's current damage capacity, health, and add stress. If the stress meter reaches 100%, the Titan will be forced into an activated state. Let's cover each of these critical concepts in turn. So there are icons that will disappear, one for void shields, one for armor saves, and another one for damage that they've added. So there is a little bit of a visual representation as it's going. There'll also be a text that'll scroll by on the left when you're doing a normal mission. Void shields, blue bar, which we both are out of. A void shield is an energy field that protects Titans from ballistic attacks. Any hit on void shields will deplete them, as represented by the blue void shields bar. Once the shields are completely depleted, the Titan is no longer protected, and any further hits will strike the Titan's armor. Damage capacity, the red bar. Hits that penetrate a Titan's armor will cause damage, as represented by the red damage capacity bar. You can think of this as health. If a Titan takes damage equal to its starting damage capacity, it is destroyed. Normal versus macro weapon hits. Titan armor is very strong. While normal hits can penetrate, they usually do not. This is why you want to bring macro weapons. Macro weapons are so powerful that Titan armor is typically half as effective. And then there are Titan killer macro weapons, which are so powerful they ignore Titan armor completely. Macro weapons typically have a low rate of fire, so they hit hard, or hit less frequently, but they hit hard. Stress. This is something it's still in the game. They haven't adjusted this. I kind of think this is a little weird, because it kind of seems like it's a way to punish you if you get hurt. If you're in a bad spot, it could end up making it so you can't actually run away or do anything. Your war engines will suffer stress from the strain that enemy attacks put on the god machines and their crews. Your Titan can suffer stress equal to their starting damage capacity. An amber stress bar will appear above your void shields and damage bar, showing how much stress your engines are coping with, or not coping with. The other thing is it's hard to tell, so in this case he's got a lot of stress, but I don't know how much more he needs to take to be knocked out of commission from stress. Most likely you're going to kill him before he stresses out, which is good. If they changed it the other way, it would be kind of a hassle. Any actual damage done further adds to the stress meter. When the stress meter reaches 100%, the war engine will temporarily shut down, becoming completely ineffectual. In game terms, this means that it has not already been activated that turn. It will be set to activated, so like it already has done its action. I guess it is possible you could hit a target a bunch with a weapon that doesn't actually do damage, but the fact that it's getting pounded so much, say you had a couple Warhounds with Vulcan Mega Bolters, which don't do much damage to Titans, but they fire a lot, maybe that would add enough stress to take somebody out. So there might be tactics you can do in that regard. At the end of each turn in the end phase, each Titan will shed just over half the stress it is carrying and return to a fighting stance. So Titans that were forced to shut down in the previous turn will return to active duty in the next turn. Close combat. This is fairly new. This was in when I did my last video, kind of looking at the game. So far we've explored shooting combat only. Now let's discuss close combat. When your Princeps find themselves in close quarters battles, you can initiate hand-to-hand close combat, whether your Titan is armed with close combat weaponry or not. If you're not equipped with a close combat weapon, it's kind of pointless, which I talked about in the previous video. Nothing's really changed. We'll look at it in a little bit because it has you do it in the tutorial. Close combat is decisive and frequently deadly. Close combat occurs inside of the Titan's void shields, which means any damage done completely bypasses the combatant's shields, hitting armor directly. That's true, but I've never been in a situation where I've been able to get into close combat range against an enemy that I haven't already stripped the shields of, just by hitting it with other stuff. But that could just be the tactics I'm using. Titans carrying melee weapons like the Titan Power Fist have a massive advantage in close combat and will relish it. These Titans should actively seek out close combat victims upon the field of battle, as Titan Power Fists do phenomenal damage when they connect. true, but non-close combat weapons don't do much of anything. Essentially, you just kind of bonk your Titan into the other one, and then they bonk you back, and that's about it. To move your Titan into close combat, select your target enemy Titan, and then right-click to place a holographic representation of your Titan on the toes of your currently targeted Titan, ensuring the amber fight ring covers the enemy Titan. Dismiss the dialogue, select your Warlord, double order should still be highlighted, target the enemy Titan, right-click on the ground, and click Commit. So if I do this correctly, anyway. So in this case, to do close combat, instead of moving and then clicking on it, I've got to click on it first. Right? No, that's not right. So normally shooting, I would do this, then click on it to fire. What I need to do is click on it and then move? Was that what it said? Now I'm confused. I've confused myself. It doesn't actually, like, show you specifically. I'm pretty sure that was how it said. We'll find out in a second. You can also look at the opponent and kind of what their overall health and status and everything is. But only once you've clicked them to kind of take a look at them. So I think I did that right. Let's find out. Taking our shots as we move in. Somehow survives, yeah. We smack him, and then he's gonna conk us back, or bonk us back, or whatever. Kinda hard to see, but yeah. So then your turn, we've got some stuff going on. So congratulations, Legate, you've mastered the fundamentals of Titan combat and are ready to command a full detachment of Titans in battle for the fate of the galaxy. So yeah, that sort of gives you an idea. So even though I really damaged this Warhound quite a bit, me just kind of booping it when I don't have a close combat weapon doesn't do much damage at all. When you do that, the enemy does get a chance to hit you back, unless you destroy them beforehand. The other thing is that if you don't have a close combat weapon and you're in close combat, once you're kind of stuck here, I haven't been able to successfully leave close combat once I've gotten into it. So then I eventually just, even though I have all these big guns and stuff, you won't use them in close combat. So if you're in close combat with an enemy, it just kind of, you know, you're going to headbutt them over and over again, and that's it, and they're going to headbutt you back. Even though you have these, you know, massive continent-shattering guns and stuff that you could use against them, you're not going to fire anything at them. Sometimes I've had the enemy actually shoot at me in close combat, but I've never successfully shot at the enemy in close combat. I've never been able to successfully leave close combat. Maybe I'm doing something weird. I've tried different things to get it to work, but it hasn't. So I typically avoid close combat. So that was it for the tutorial. What I am going to do, because I prefer it for skirmishes, if it's going to work, my options don't want to come up. All right. It's alpha. Hit escape, it worked. I'm going to turn off the cinematic cameras for the skirmish because it's really hard to tell where things are happening if you have the cinematic camera on when you're playing a skirmish. So this is something that's new. We can choose chaos. Before you could only choose the Imperial stuff, which kind of fit with the game. The original box set only came with the Warlords, I don't think it even had Reavers in it. It might have had Reavers in it. I had a friend that had a copy of it. We messed around with it a few times, but I didn't really play it too much. So I think it was just Warlords with the modular weapons, but it was kind of set during the Heresy, so you had Imperial forces fighting Imperial forces, and didn't take place later when you had the different, Chaos Titans with, they're taken over by demons and that kind of thing. I'm much more familiar with the Imperial Titans and with the Orc Gargants, not really so much with the Chaos Titans. But now you can play as Chaos, and I haven't even looked at this. So I'm going to try Chaos, and we're going to mess around with it, as long as everything loads and works right. Okay, basically look the same. So up here we have different Titan Legions. We have sort of our selection. This has been changed, so now we can actually particularly take a specific weapon spot and swap out for whatever we want. So we can pick the particular weapon choices. There's not a ton of actual choices here, surprisingly. Depends on which level you've got. So let's see. We've got different Titan chapters. Go back. There we go. Sometimes things don't work when you click, but, you know, it is an alpha game, so whatever. One thing I would like to see, they do have the different Titan Legions. They do have the different color schemes of the Titan Legions. I'd like to see some kind of a benefit for the specific legions, even if it's something incredibly minor, like a slightly increased range on one particular weapon, or slightly increased speed with one particular kind of Titan. And I do mean like slightly. I don't want it to be anything that would be potentially game-breaking, but anything that would kind of make it sort of distinctive or unique would be kind of cool. We'll go with the Lords of Ruin here. Go with Nurgle. So we have the Warlords, we've got Reavers, and we've got Warhounds, and that's it. So it doesn't actually look that much different. I kind of thought they'd have the different Titan names and classes and stuff for the Chaos Troops. Instead, it just seems like it's just the names of the chapter or legions and the paint schemes. But this could be set during the Heresy, so it wouldn't make sense for them to be full-blown, you know, big demon faces and tails and, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff. So it sort of depends on the setting. So what you do basically is set up what you want. We've got the unit cost. The total cost for the skirmish is 5,000 points. And then you can kind of decide where you want to deploy the different units. So I often like having some lighter guys on the sides. So the various different options. The Vulcan Mega Bolter, you can kind of see, is good against infantry. It fires a lot. Not very good against tanks or titans. But since it does fire a lot, it's good at stripping shields. It is fairly short range compared to the weapons the heavier titans can carry, so you do have to get in kind of close, which is kind of dangerous with these little guys. Plasma Blast Gun, I notice it doesn't always switch here when I'm trying to look at the information. Let's do this and go back. There it is. Alright, Plasma Blast Gun, so same range, fires a couple times a turn. It's quite good against tanks and infantry, but it only fires, it does say 2, but that's essentially once every other turn it's going to fire. I'm not sure what it actually says. Yeah, it just has a 2. Yeah, slow recharge. Here we go. Indicate the weapon is slow, which means it cannot shoot in the turn following a turn at which it fired. For example, a plasma blast gun must spend a turn recharging after it fires. So it does show you macro weapons, so it's better at doing damage against titans, whereas the Vulcan Mega Bolter doesn't. We've got the Inferno Cannon. Go back so it'll show me. Inferno Cannon is a barrage weapon. It basically is like a giant flamethrower. Very ineffective against tanks and titans and stuff. Turbo Laser Destructor. Let's go back. Turbo Laser Destructor. So same range. It's got a rate of fire of 4, so pretty good, but it's much more anti-tank. So these are pretty good. I do like the Turbo Laser Destructors. They just, I think they cost more, so it's 275. Let's switch back. Mega Bolter 250, so it's an extra 25 points if you want to grab that. Or the Plasma Blast Gun, also additional 25 points. This is kind of the combo I often go for. The Plasma Blast Gun's good against stuff. I kind of use these Mega Bolters to take out the shields, and then we'll try to do more damage. I want to have something that can do some damage. I prefer longer range weapons, but all of the ones for the Warhounds are the same, 45 range. So you don't have any real long-range options here with the light guys. The Turbo Laser Destructor isn't a bad choice either, so maybe we'll grab that. It's the same cost as the Plasma Blast Gun, but I can fire it every turn. Less damage, but these guys get destroyed quite early, so if I want to deploy them, you just kind of click on it. Now it'll kind of show you it's got a Vulcan Mega Bolter and a Turbo Laser Destructor. Throw one of you on the flanks. We'll kind of piece together stuff later. I like the Reavers quite a bit. Got the Apocalypse Launcher, so you kind of see up 60 range. Everything here has 60 range. I prefer the Volcano Cannons. They are more expensive than Laser Blasters. So Laser Blasters have a range of 60. They do fire quite a bit. Decent damage. The Volcano Cannons are actually switched extra cost, but a 90 range. They only fire once, way more damage. They are macro weapons. They are Titan killers. So powerful that not even reinforced armor can deflect its fire. Damage from Titan killer weapons is also often higher than a normal or macro weapon hit. So I really like this particular option with 2 volcano cannons and the Apocalypse Launcher. Not any real choices up here, unfortunately. I seem to recall that there were more in the game, like the actual physical board game, and even in Epic, I think there were other options besides the Apocalypse Launcher for Reavers. I like having the long-range stuff, so let's throw one of these guys each out on the flanks, so you can kind of see where we're at with our costs. Let's start looking at some warlords. Here, we can take laser blasters. We can even mix 1 and 1. The laser blasters are a bit shorter range. It's not actually changing again. Let's go back. Or maybe it did. Laser blaster has the same range. It does fire quite a bit. Pretty good damage, costs a bit more. So that's 900, Apocalypse Launcher 850. So the fairly cheap option for me that I often go with is this setup at 850 each. So 2 volcano cannons, 2 Apocalypse Launchers. The Apocalypse Launcher is mainly there to take out shields. Not really going to do much damage if the shields are down. The volcano cannons are there to kill stuff. So we do have the longer range with the volcano cannons. Alternatively, for extra cost, you can take some laser blasters instead of the Apocalypse Launchers. You can even just kind of throw 1 on if you wanted. Going to do a bit more damage than the Apocalypse Launcher. Fires a bunch, so it's better at stripping shields. Has the same range as the Apocalypse Launcher. So this is a good option as well. I kind of like this. Or, if you can afford it, go full bore. Kind of the most expensive you can take, the 950. You can also go Plasma Annihilator here. So this is one that's also slow, so fires every other turn. It is a macro weapon. It's going to fire 3 shots. So it's a pretty decent weapon, but it's shorter range than the volcano cannons. I tend to prefer longer range stuff personally, but it's kind of my own kind of thing. Depends on how you want to build stuff. So you can even have everything kind of mixed up. You could have 4 different weapons if you wanted: laser blaster, Apocalypse Launcher, volcano cannon, plasma blast cannon. However you want to mix it up with your designs and stuff. So this is what I like for kind of a one that's operating by itself. Would be a couple laser blasters to strip shields, volcano cannons to kill stuff, but the cost is a little high at 950. So I think I know what I'm going to do, just because I can fit it in for the cost. Grab 3 of these guys in the center, so it leaves me with 500 points. I can't really make a 500-point Reaver, but I can make a couple 250-point Warhounds. So that's what I'm going to go for, by basically just having 2 Vulcan Mega Bolters. I don't think there's any other real options. Inferno Cannon is pretty much useless. Turbo Laser Destructor gets me a little bit too high. So we can run 2 Vulcan Mega Bolters for 250 and add a couple more. So we've got a ton of guys. We've got some faster guys on each flank, heavier guys kind of in the center. This is kind of a typical sort of thing that I'll often go for, something like this. Sometimes I'll play around with having the Warhounds, and then just kind of beefing up the Warlords here with some better weapons and stuff. Sort of depends. So we'll go with this, I guess. I haven't actually looked at the cast stuff before, so it's kind of neat to see. They've got different screen and stuff. So let's call it good. So it's kind of giving you the basic thing, rundown on your commands. It took quite a while to load the last time I did a skirmish, so I'm hoping it doesn't take forever this time. So the other thing that's new is shooting. So the tutorial specifically mentioned that you don't shoot if something is out of range. That doesn't happen anymore. So you can now shoot at stuff if it is out of range. You just have a very small chance to hit it. So you do have the option, if you wanted to start taking pot shots at stuff from range. So you want to be careful about weapons that have a cooldown and a particular line of sight and stuff. So you can have 2 particular things you can do is maybe whittle down the shields of an enemy before it gets into range. The other thing that might sometimes be a reason you would do it would be if there is a particular target that has some terrain between you and them. If you shoot at them and then hit the terrain, if it's a building, you can destroy the building. So if you specifically want to destroy certain terrain, then you can do that. There doesn't seem to be a way to specifically target the terrain itself, but there is a way that you can take out the terrain if it's a building. If it's a kind of a hill or a mountain or something like that, you can't actually destroy it, but the buildings you can destroy. So combined arms, objective-based mode with 4 objectives to secure and 1 forward operating base per player. Take and hold, each objective contributes 1 victory point to your total. Blitzkrieg, capture enemy field of, should I say, forward operating base, that's what it is, contributes 2 victory points. Break the Spirit, destroy the enemy's most valuable Titan for 2 victory points. First to 3 victory points wins the battle. Victory is not checked until start of turn 6. So 3 is actually pretty low, but it won't check it until turn 6. This is kind of common for the skirmish. Some of the other scenarios and things that you can do are a little different. So it's my turn to activate first, so we can kind of see where we've got everybody set up. It's kind of a big mess here. This map's kind of cluttered. Got a bit of space off to the right. So what does the enemy have? Got a couple warhounds. So I've got 3 warlords, whereas he's got 4. Got 1 reaver and 2 warhounds out on this side. So laser blasters, laser blasters. He's got a lot of guys with the plasma guns on the warlords. Where are the objectives? So I've got some fairly close. A couple there. A couple further out. And then this is their forward operating base. Not a lot of buildings in this one. It kind of depends on the map. There's different maps that you'll get. And you can kind of see what I mean about it being a little bit dark. It might just be my monitor, but it definitely seems like it's a bit of a dark map. And there's no way to kind of adjust the brightness when you're playing. So for me, it definitely seems like it would be nice to adjust the brightness, especially areas like this. It's almost black, but that could just be my screen. I'm sure a lot of that's going to change as things go, though. So what I'm probably going to want to do is push up more on the right. We do have kind of a scroll here of information as things go by, so it'll give you kind of a bit of an update as you're seeing stuff. I did change it so it's not going to be in the action cam. I do have the first activation, but at this point we're so out of range it doesn't really matter too much.
Where's your Omnissiah now?
I haven't actually played as Chaos, so it's nice to hear they have different little voice intros and stuff. So usually I'm running often early on, but I think even from here, if I wanted to, I could take pot shots. It's not really going to be very effective at this range. So just see how far we can get. I might shift some stuff over this way, but we'll see what happens. We'll try to advance with some cover. And even the activation's different. Kill! So the thing I specifically mentioned about retaining is this. If you want to do this, you have to click it while it's up. If you don't click on it, you don't have the option when the turn's over or at the end of your turn to say, do you want to retain, yes or no. You have to actually click on it as your units are activating, which can be kind of distracting if you're in the kind of the action combat mode where you're following the camera, because you're kind of paying attention to your moving and trying to figure out where on the map am I, and because it's all zoomed up and close up, you're not seeing it overall. So it's a little bit distracting. Then, oh yeah, I have to click to retain or I'm going to be totally screwed, because sometimes that does make a big difference. So that was a Reaver. He's got pretty good movement. Kind of went right over the mountain there. We're trying to use a little bit of cover.
Long shall be your suffering.
Warhounds are super fast. So this is their running speed is quite crazy. So depending on the path he's going to take, so the fastest way is to go around. You can see that's sort of maximum there.
Where's your Omnissiah? Long shall be your suffering.
Talking over each other. So the guy who has the 2 Vulcan Megavolters is the one I want to get in shots first, because he's there basically to strip enemy shields. So for right now, we're going to try to hide him. We should be well out of range, though, for a while. But we'll see if we can maybe sweep around to the right if they advance.
Where's your Omnissiah now?
I'm actually a little bit concerned I may not be able to win this one with the amount of firepower I'm facing. That many warlords is kind of daunting. I've got to try to separate them and pick them off. Maximizing firepower on a target is the most important thing you can do. Get as many shots as you can in. It's hard to tell sometimes if the terrain allows you to move through stuff. I think we can move up here, but I don't think we can actually go over this. We'd have to go through here, I think. The warlords are quite slow. We'll need to get them kind of up and involved as soon as possible.
Where's your omnissiah now?
Another thing that you need to be careful about as you're positioning is that your Titans, if they're shooting at an enemy and they're moving past one of your own units, you can hit your own units and both take out their shields and hit them for damage. So you do want to be careful about positioning a bit.
Where's your omnissiah now?
So for example, with that positioning, if you had a warlord in front, if one of my Titans was out here and he wanted to shoot at with the Reaver, as his Reaver moved up, his Reaver would be shooting his own warlord in the back over and over again as he went around. You don't actually hold your fire if you don't have, until you have like a clear line of sight, if you have your own guys in the way. So you will light up your own units. And I'm just quickly checking to make sure it's working because this game makes me nervous. I've had a lot of problems with this game, trying to stream it or record it.
Where's your omnissiah now?
Okay, the one "where's your omnissiah now" over and over again is a little bit irritating. Maybe it's just me. Let's see. Let's just move up and try to stay in some cover. The Imperials guys have a few different things that they'll say, so they just have the one for the Chaos guys, I guess. Definitely a little concerned about the amount of firepower I'm going to face if I go up the center. We're not going to try to hit the center. Try to probably reposition out to one of the flanks. I don't care if he grabs anything early on, which he might try to do with the Warhounds, because we're not actually going to check for victory until turn 6. We're still in turn 1.
Long shall be your suffering.
How far can we get up this way? It's faster to go that way, apparently. It's not a ton of cover, but if we can hit the edge here, can maybe distract him. Sure, let's run you out there for now.
Be your suffering.
I do like the little firefights and stuff going on. He's putting a lot of guys over here. Alternatively, I could keep all three of these guys together and try to just hammer stuff, but since you do shoot your own guys if they're in line of fire, it can be a little difficult to position them.
Long shall be your suffering.
Let's see, how far can you get? Trying to go all the way around that way. Okay, that's odd. That's about as far as we can get that way. For now, that's fine.
Long shall be your suffering.
Yeah, kind of concerned about the amount of firepower I'm going to face here. Usually what I'll do is I'll split some guys up to the flanks kind of stay at range in the middle. You can see the warlords have incredibly short range, so even running, they're not going very far. We've got a decent line of fire down this way, so let's try to position so we can take some shots that way maybe next time. I could try some long-range shots now. Early turns often just about positioning. Once we get into the next turn or two, we'll start being kind of more at extreme range for shots. Don't like the number of warlords I'm facing. Let's see what kind of positioning we can get here. Can we get through here? Yeah, okay. So, for example, I could go ahead and take some shots. It's not even going to let me. Oh, I'm running, that's why. So if I wanted to do normal movement, we can get to here-ish. So you can kind of see the range. We've got terrain blocking as we're moving, but we might, once we get past, we'll have a chance for some shots. I might go ahead and do that, actually, just to kind of see. We shouldn't destroy this terrain. It's pretty unlikely we'll get any hits here at all. Even if we do, he'll just recover his shields. Yeah, nothing got anywhere near him at all. Actually moving his Warhound towards the center, grabbing the objective. My objectives are kind of in a bad position, so this seem to be a bit closer. I think the placement's somewhat random. So on the map you can see who you haven't used yet. Will be flashing on each side. As you're moving, it'll show it on the minimap. You can also click to jump to spots on the minimap if you want to. Kind of typical things you'd expect, but you know, it is an alpha, so you never know what's going to be up and running or not. For now, let's go here with a view down that way. Ideally, what I'm probably going to want to do, the Warhounds will try to strip everything, strip shields. Everybody else will try to stay at range, and we'll try to maximize as much firepower as we can. So also each turn it'll do a check to see who gets to go first. If it picks you, you can't like skip it and decide you don't want to take your action. Just something I think they should add. That's awfully brave and crazy. Because of the colors, it's a little hard to actually tell whether something's friendly or not. Something else I didn't notice when I played before, but it could just be that I didn't notice. It might have been there. Units you haven't activated will have a blue circle around their base. So once you've activated them, that won't be there. I do wish it was a little bit darker or more obvious or a little bigger. Alright, which one are you? So if I wanted to just see, we're actually a little bit out of range. I still might hit, but the range is kind of extreme. So we could creep up just a little bit and take some shots. Now we'll at least have some shots definitely in range. That'll just knock down shields. Since he's moved up, we might as well do it. So you can kind of see this is the icon for the shields being dropped. This is armor saves. You're also getting the scroll here on the side. Armor saved, armor saved, armor saved. I don't think I did any damage to him at all, actually. So he's taking shots. Probably has like no chance of hitting because of the terrain and the range, but he's taking the shot anyway. But now that his shields are down, I probably can just take him out with the Warlord here with his fire. Let's just see, I might not even have to move. Everything should be in range. Everything's in range. The Apocalypse cannons, or Apocalypse launchers, aren't going to do much damage, but the Volcano cannons might be able to just finish him off. So let's go ahead and just light him up. So this icon is the damage. Yeah, he's dead. It's kind of a crazy, aggressive action to run out here anyway like that. So that's ideally what you want to do. Use those lighter guys to strip the shields, or to get behind the enemies. So he does have a lot of warlords. If I can run around behind them with my warhounds, it kind of becomes a hassle for him to try to deal with them, and then they could maybe grab some objectives. I don't like him creeping up there. But he is fairly isolated.
Where's your Omnissiah now?
Don't really have a good position. It's really open, and he's at an advantage because he's got more weapons. Where can you run to? We could run around behind here. No, not quite. It's a little protection. It's not quite where I'd like to be. I'd like to get a little further up to have a little bit more stuff between me and the enemy. I don't know why. It looks like it's a bit further, but... Something else that I would like to see in the game maybe would be positioning for where you're facing. Something kind of like front armor, side armor, rear armor, which is something they had for the different tanks and stuff in Epic at one point. Maybe we'll just run over it this way. We can take some crazy shots. Yeah, highly unlikely we'll hit, but we can kind of do that. That's fine. We did actually hit shields once. There's warlords moving up that I'm a bit more concerned about. So you can see I've got everybody here on the left still available. Kind of long range still to go for him.
Where's your Omnissiah now?
Try to move up and take some shots, but I don't know. It's kind of long range. Well, I've at least got some chances. Actually, the volcano cannons look like they're in range, or almost in range. 80s. Yeah, let's go ahead and give it a shot. Probably not going to knock down his shields even. Hitting his shields. Yeah, so took his shields down a bit. He'll get some back on the turn though, so it's not going to matter too much, most likely for next turn. So far it kind of gives you a good idea of how things work. Something I would like to see, in addition to maybe the facing, would be something sort of like Battlefleet Gothic, when you had maybe crew upgrades. So you might have crew that are better at increasing the speed of a particular Titan, or maybe increasing your accuracy a tiny bit, or the effective range of a weapon a tiny bit. I do mean like tiny bit. It shouldn't be something that would be game-breaking or cause major problems or crit chance. I'd also like to see, I haven't noticed it, but if you could disable enemy weapons by hitting them, critical hits, maybe taking out an enemy weapon for a turn or two, or them having to do repairs to get them back online, increasing the chance of repairs, in number of shields that get replaced in a turn, all of that kind of stuff.
Long shall be your suffering.
Let's see if we can run around. Try to get some cover. Can I not go this way? Okay, apparently that's not part of the map. My plan was to run around this way, but if I can't... Yeah, it's not letting me go this way at all. But things sort of like that, maybe upgrading weapons, upgrading crew so that they have special abilities, increased chance of repairing things, or recovering health, or getting weapons back online that were critically hit, getting your shields back up, or increasing your speed, or range, or accuracy. Any of those kind of things would be kind of cool. I really don't like my positioning here. I was hoping to be able to get around this way, but I can't. So that's really messing with my plan to run them out here. So for now, I may just move out. It's not even letting me go over here. Can I go here? Nope. Alright then. And I guess we'll try to hide here a little bit. Just move up.
Where's your omnicide now?
It's really going to wreck my plans on this flank. Sending the warlord that way. That's not good. So it looks like he's got one guy left he hasn't activated. The Reaver, it looks like. Whereas I've got a few guys here we still haven't activated. Kind of at long range, so I don't know how effective
Long shall be your suffering.
the shots are going to be. I want to leave room for the Warlord to come out this way, so let's just try to move over a bit. See if we can take some long-range shots.
Where's your omnicide now?
I'm actually doing pretty good. Shields are down. Nice. That was way more effective than I expected.
Where's your omnicide now?
So let's try to creep up here. See if we can hit. Yeah, unlikely. Just a little bit out of range here, it looks like. But we'll take some long-range shots. Just on the off chance we'll get some hits. Really hard hitting him, he's getting armor saves. Can't tell if I did any damage to him, though.
Where's your omnicide now?
Let's see. Angle's not great here for shots. Got a few that should hit, maybe. Give it a try. A lot of terrain in the way. There's some hits. We are taking out his shields as well. So because they're kind of clustered together with the Apocalypse launchers, since they're barrage weapons, they kind of hit an area, so we did take out his shields too. We'll get some of them back on his turn. We don't really have anybody else who can really do much damage. We just have the one Warhound here.
Long shall be your suffering.
Let's see. Let's just move back. Since we can't really get around this flank, we'll kind of reposition here.
Long shall be your suffering.
And then we'll see who gets the first activation. I'd actually like to get it, and then I'll retain. See if we can light these guys up. Hey, we get to go first. Alright, do I need to move anybody desperately? So potentially he's going to get shot up by the Warlord as it comes up. He's got some cover. You're there for backup. See if we can have both my Warlords move in and do some damage here.
Long shall be your
Start
suffering.
with you. Keep hitting the Warlord. You can kind of see they got some of their shields back. I think I'm going to hit my own guy here. I hope not.
Long shall be your suffering.
So the Apocalypse Launcher should probably take out both of their shields. We're getting some hits, some damage. Oh, I didn't retain. I meant to retain. That's fine. Shooting at him, he's got pretty good cover. So the amount of firepower these guys have is pretty massive. I'm so focused on the shots, I forgot to hit the retain button there. Okay, so let's have you move up.
Your suffering.
And we'll continue trying to pound on the Warlord here. It'd be nice to kill him off, but I don't think we're going to do enough damage here.
Where's your omnicide now?
Getting some hits. Oh, maybe. Yeah, nice. Running away with his Warhound. Okay, that actually went fairly well. What else can we do? He still has another Warlord in the back there. That Reaver's looking a bit exposed.
Where's your omnicide now?
If I stay here, I'm hopefully not going to shoot my own guy. Yeah, we should be clear. I think we can hit. 83%. Sure, let's open fire.
Your suffering.
Yeah, a little bit of damage. Well, that's not good. Stay alive, little buddy. Okay. Kind of gripping myself up tight here. There we go. So he's done, so that's at least a positive. So we could jump him with both of the Warhounds and the Reaver. Probably not enough to take him out. Let's see. Still has the Warlord in the back here. This guy's a little bit more disposable. Could run way out here. There's a lot of stuff in the way. So we could try to light him up. We've got a couple shots, but the Vulcan Mega Bolter doesn't do much damage at all. Mainly it's there for taking out shields. So that's not really ideal. This guy has a bit of a better weapon. So if we want to go in, it's fairly exposed. I'd like to see something like ranges too, maybe for your different weapons, showing a different color, circle on the ground, something like that. So one for movement, one for the different range of the different weapons. Sure, let's go ahead and give this a shot, take some long-range fire. It's just the Warlord in the back that's got to move up. They're hitting him. Armor save with some damage. Now just survive. Shields held for a long time there. Actually, he did pretty good taking that fire. Alright, we've got a Warhound there left. We've got this guy left. This guy hasn't moved yet, I don't think. No, yeah, he has. Enemy's got... the Reaver. Just the Reaver, right? Just looking for anything else. Yeah, I think he's just got the Reaver left. That's the only thing he hasn't activated. I'm just thinking about whether or not I should put him on Overwatch if this guy hasn't gone yet, but he has gone, so that's fine. Alright, let's go ahead and start jumping this Warlord on the right. Try to strip his shields here. The Mega Bolter. Mostly down. Oh, my poor little Warhound. Wow, good job. I need to get him out of there. He's pretty much dead if he gets the first activation.
Long shall be your suffering.
What's our range looking like here? A little bit far. Let's move up. Should take out his shields, maybe a tiny bit of damage, and we'll have the Reaver pound him as well. His shields down. Armor saves, his damage. So he's out of activations because I've got more units, so we can keep moving, keep doing all our stuff.
Where's your Omnissiah now?
The other place I might want to rush activation would be here. Next turn, to try to finish him off, because I don't think the Reaver's going to take him out here. It'd be nice if he did, but it's pretty unlikely. Yeah, too bad. So priorities for activation might be here for me next turn. The other thing I'm not sure about, you can put guys on Overwatch, but I'm not sure if they'll stay on Overwatch from one turn to the next. So for example, if I put this guy on Overwatch, I think it only is for the turn I'm in. I don't think it actually affects the next turn. So what are we going to do with you? We could be super crazy. Got some shots in. Pretty unlikely we're going to do any damage there. I really wanted to run around to the flanks. Try to get behind him, grab objectives behind him, go for his forward operating base. But I don't have this cover available to me. So we could run by... but I think you can still shoot me there. Well, maybe for now we'll kind of... yeah, it's kind of putting me in bad positions because the line of the map has got to be like right here. So let's do the smarter thing, and we'll just kind of pull back here a bit. Instead of wasting him doing something crazy. I think that's my last guy. Nope. What do I have left? Oh, this guy.
Long shall be your suffering.
I guess we can just creep up a little bit here. can try for some long-range shots. Yeah, all the terrain is definitely going to block all of that. There's possible shots there, so I guess we can try for that. Nothing made it anywhere near him. So hopefully I'll get the activation. Hey, I got lucky. Alright, we got to get that Warhound out of there. We also want to pound this guy. So saving a Warhound or killing a Warlord? What's my priority? We are in turn 4. I do need to get an objective away from him. Alright, what I'm going to do is we're going to go here, try to kill this Warlord if we can. Is everything in range? Everything is in range. Make sure we retain. Take the shields down, maybe do a little bit of damage here, hopefully. Just a little bit. Reaver. Please kill him. Close. A little bit more damage. There we go. Nice. Now he's gonna die. Yeah, not surprising. So I am gonna have to grab objectives here at some point. I could throw him on Overwatch. It's not a bad call.
Long shall be your suffering.
Let's retain. That's a little Overwatch symbol. So then what I'm going to do here, if we can get there, try to run around and grab this objective. We've got a bit of cover here, so that's fine. Just from this angle, we've got a bit more fire coming our way.
Where's your Omnissiah now?
Trying to light me up. Okay, so we're basically done on this flank.
Long shall be your
What kind of shots do we have if we don't move? Well, we've got some. It's long range. Shouldn't hit our own guy, so sure.
Where's your Omnissiah now?
Guess we can retain. We'll try to kill him off. If the Reaver doesn't finish him, one of the Warlords will. How about you?
Omnissiah now.
Let's creep ahead a bit. Just utterly wreck this guy.
Omnissiah now.
These volcano cannons are awesome. Like the engine kill, engine kill, engine kill. We're gonna get hammered back. Missing a lot of shots. It's just been extreme range. Those laser blasters are a little bit shorter range, kind of like the Apocalypse launchers. What else does he have? Can't tell. Got to actually, if I want to see what he's got, I've got to click one of my guys, then click on him, then I can look at it. So he's got volcano cannons as well. He's still on Overwatch. Still hasn't moved him, probably because I am on Overwatch. So we just have our little Warhound and one Warlord. Could be crazy brave and just go for shredding the shields and then opening up to the Warlord. But if I have him in the way, the Warlord's going to shoot him. And the positioning here, kind of being this big choke point, is kind of a problem. Try to run by him. Not going to get very far by him. Oh, that's crazy. I guess I have nothing better to do. We'll overwatch him. It is moving. Just barely. I don't know if I'll get any Overwatch shots off here, though. Terrain's blocking all his shots, which is what I was hoping. No, there's my Overwatch coming in. That's weird. He was taking damage even though he's got shields. I haven't seen that before, so I'm not sure what's going on there exactly. And are we within range? Yeah. Within range with the volcano cannons. He does have his shields up still. Let's just do what damage we can. We can get his shields down, maybe get a little bit of damage, so get us in a better position for next turn. Shields down, no damage it looks like. A little bit of shields left. Did I win the activation again? I did. Wow. I don't think I've won the activation that many times before. So you're in a little bit of a dangerous spot. Out here we definitely want to kill this Warlord off if we can. So we can dual Warlord hit this guy if I want to retain, and I remember to retain. We could run to this guy up somewhere, throw him on Overwatch and do something else. I've just got different options for what I have available. Got some terrain kind of in the way here if I want to take shots at him. Could possibly run past him, try to grab the objective from behind him. Might be more effective with him if I can run by. Alright, I think we're just going to double pound the Warlord here, do what damage we can. It's his highest point value guy, so if we take him, we'll get some victory points. So let's light him up, retain. Shields are down. Some damage coming in. A lot of armor saves, though. Armor in range of the volcano cannons. A little bit out of range, 65 for the Apocalypse launchers, so we could creep forward a little bit, and then we might get more hits, more potential dice rolls to get through that armor. But I think we're going to stay put, have increased accuracy with the volcano cannons because the shields are down. So just try to nail them. Hope we get lucky. That was bad misses there. Well, super close to death. That's something, being almost dead, but he still has full command of all of his weapons. So that's something where I'd like to see sort of damage or crits taking out weapons. And my Reaver should be able to finish him off since we've got volcano cannons there as well. Yeah, that should finish him.
Long shall be your suffering.
If we can hit anyway. There we go. Oh, something's going on. He's just staying put, trying to hit me. Too much stuff in the way, though. Not much getting through. So I really need to take some victory points away from him. I'm not sure what happens if there's a tie, actually. It'll check at the end of the next turn. A bit exposed over here.
Where's your omniscire now?
Let's have you run out. Try to do some damage there. My other Warhound come the other way.
Suffering.
Can knock down his shields anyway. Guess we can retain, that's fine. Got more guys. Knocked his shields out. That's about it. Does he have anybody left to activate? Just the Warhound. I keep trying to say Warhound and Warlord at the same time. Something is wrong with me.
Where's your omniscire now?
Actually, we could just run. We'll go ahead and grab this. Can't shoot if I want to go that far, but I want to make sure I get another objective away from the enemy here. Yep, close enough to grab it. Armor is holding. A little bit of damage. Now it's contested. Alright, how far can you get if we want to run by here? Can we even go out this far? Yeah, so we could run around that way. Gives me a little bit of cover, try to get by next turn.
Long shall be your suffering.
As slow as they show them moving, compared to the other Titans, the Warhounds are super fast. It is my activation again. Might jump to him.
Long shall be your
Got kind of a building in the way here. Try to move out and back, try to stay at range. We could go ahead and try for some shots. We'll probably destroy the building in the process.
Where's your omniscire now?
Yeah, there it goes. Now it's a bit more open.
Long shall be
What kind of shots do we have? Need to shift over a little bit. Let's go ahead and move. See what we can get. Shields are down, hitting his armor. Some decent damage. And victory, based on the points. Alright, so yeah, that was kind of a quick look at Adeptus Titanicus Dominus in its current state in April. This is early access, lots of things can change, kind of like I said. Some of the things I would hope to see, like I kind of mentioned before, maybe some stuff with upgrading the crew quality, or maybe numbers. Like maybe you have a certain number of crew total, and you can maybe adjust to have more in certain departments to maybe do certain things, or increase chances of things, like increasing range a tiny bit, crit chance a little bit, repair chance a little bit. Shields coming back online by a little percentage, those kind of things, maybe increasing speed a little bit. And then, like I said, with the Titan Legions themselves, maybe having a particular bonus with the Titan Legions specifically. So maybe one might have a tiny bit of increased speed with their warhounds, or maybe a little bit of increased speed with warlords. Nothing that would be kind of major. Maybe increased range with one particular weapon. Like Apocalypse launchers have a little bit further range with this particular legion because they prioritize using that. From what I remember, there was like one particular legion that had specialized pretty much in fighting lots of orcs. So maybe like their Apocalypse launchers have a little bit further range because they focus on just bombarding mass areas to wipe out as many orcs as they can. So they use Apocalypse launchers more, so they have a little bit more accuracy with them, or a little bit further range with them. You know, those kind of things you can tie into the lore a little bit. Any of those kind of things would be kind of cool to see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So taking out enemy weapons on their Titans, or slowing them down with critical hits, or just with the amount of damage they take. So like in that one, you had that one warlord that was almost destroyed, but still all of its weapons are totally working, and it lights up my warlord, and didn't destroy it, but did quite a bit of damage. So things like that would be kind of nice to see as well. Maybe the chance of something being knocked out, and then you'd have to have chances of it being repaired by your own guys. All those kind of things would be kind of contribute. I think would be kind of cool, additional things to add to the game. I'd also maybe like to see potentially like super heavy tanks, so like Bane Blades and Shadow Swords and that kind of stuff. On both sides. Depends on the kind of the setting. It looks like maybe the setting, it could just be placeholders, but the setting might be right during the heresy. So that would kind of make sense that everyone has kind of the same basic looking stuff, and you don't have the separate Chaos Titans. Hopefully they might add other races as well, but even if it is just Imperial and Chaos, it would be kind of nice to have sort of the later Chaos Titans as well, or at least graphically with some of the weird demonic faces and tails and all that kind of creepy stuff. But yeah, that's kind of about the way things look at this point with Adeptus Titanicus Dominus. So those recent updates, being able to shoot from range, I do like. I was initially kind of concerned about it when I heard, but the way that it works when it only fires if you target them, it doesn't just automatically fire at your nearest enemies, that kind of thing. And trying to be careful about destroying the terrain that's helping you, or maybe intentionally destroying terrain that could be blocking shots at your enemy. So I do like those changes. I do like the way to swap out the different weapons now. Kind of looking at the point value for each weapon is a little bit easier to keep track of that way. So I can kind of look at, I need 25 more points, so I can grab 2 of these guys. We'll just swap this weapon. Good. So it's a little bit easier to kind of figure the point stuff out. So definitely it's coming along. I mean, it's definitely an alpha game, but it actually looks really good. I'm pretty surprised and impressed. There is also, if you look at solo play, I haven't messed around with too many of these. There are scenarios. So I have only done the first one, so it's kind of a particular setup where you have a certain set Titans, you have a certain set objective, at least the one that I played worked that way. So like the one that I did, the first one was I have a Reaver and 2 Warhounds, my opponent has 2 Warlords and 1 Warhound, and I'm supposed to win by the end of turn 3. What you do then is the Warlords are so slow that you just have to use your Warhounds to grab the objectives from kind of the side or behind the enemy, and just have it by the turn. It doesn't actually matter if you're getting trashed in the process. It's just based on the objectives. So having those kind of different scenarios that have different things also have these available already, which is kind of cool. Go back. Thank you. Yeah, so that was just kind of a quick look at everything, kind of my thoughts on the process as it's moved forward. So now into April with the alpha. If there are any other major changes or something coming up, I'll probably do another follow-up video. But yeah, thought it was kind of a cool thing to show off, and I know a lot of people don't have early access to it, so thought it might be interesting. But yeah, thanks a lot for checking out the stream, and eventually this will go up on YouTube as well, so hopefully it'll do as well as my previous Adeptus Titanicus Dominus, or Dominus, video did. If you're interested in other stuff, you can always check out things on my YouTube channel, other streams that I've done. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Hopefully I will see you next time. Have a good one.